Hi guys. I have tried recording this like 4 different times, and every time I have another issue. I really hope this is the take that works. In my last video, I replied to this comment that was left in the comment section, and I said that I'd like to do a character study on Lorelei Gilmore. I will admit this is a huge task to undertake because the woman is a walking contradiction, but we're gonna try to analyze her on a couple different areas specifically, just so it's easier for me to explain it to y'all. First off, we're gonna talk about the relationship that she has with her parents and how everything kind of unraveled from when she was a teenager to now as an adult. We're also gonna talk about her romantic relationships and the bad choices in those. And finally, we're going to address her relationship with her daughter Rory, which is the person that this hyper independent complex gets handed down to. These are all areas that have their issues, but I have to separate them so we can actually understand what's going on with this bitch. First, we're going to talk about Lorelei's relationship with her parents. Their names are Richard and Emily, in case you didn't know, and they're very well off. They have a ton of money because they both went to Yale, and Yale makes money makers, apparently. But also, this is a case of inherited money as well, because Richard's mom is also wealthy.
Now, let's talk about your education. Where are you attending school?
Chilton.
Rory is in the top 10% of her class.
We're very proud of our Rory. She's going to Harvard.
Harvard?
Yes, ma'am.
Richard, how can you allow this girl to go to Harvard?
Now, Trix.
You're a Yale man. Your father was a Yale man.
Well, we want Rory to be whatever kind of man she wants to be.
That's enough jokes for this evening, Lorelei.
Sorry.
I'm not sure if Emily's family was wealthy. They don't really talk about that, but either way, Richard is an insurance guy. He spends a lot of time working, and Emily's just kind of a wife, I guess. She spends a lot of time at home. She works with the DAR, the Daughters of the American Revolution, whatever that entails. She organizes events and stuff like that, but point is, Emily never really had aspirations of her own, so ever since Lorelei is young, she kind of sees what her future could be if she ends up going along with the plan to get married to Christopher. Can't even say his fucking name. You know what? We're gonna call him Chris, okay? We're calling him Chris from now on. So unfortunately for her parents, Lorelei is not happy with the life that she's been provided with. She obviously never lacked any money growing up, but what she did lack was her parents' affection and their attention. She always felt like money was a negative factor in her life because from where she stood, all it meant was control. You're provided money, well, you have to do as I say. She always felt like her parents weren't there for her because they weren't present emotionally, and her acting out was only ever so she could gain the attention of her parents, who were very, very emotionally unavailable to her. And then Lorelei gets pregnant at 16, and this is one of the more topics of contention in the fandom, because a lot of people seem to think that it doesn't matter the way that she was raised. Lorelei was always gonna get pregnant at 16. And I kind of disagree. I think that in part, some of that result was because she wasn't being supervised. She had no attention from her parents. I do think that them not talking to her, not really being there for her, did affect the way that this happened. I will say, I'm not going to take her agency completely away from her, because at the end of the day, Lorelei chose to do what she did. But maybe if they had talked to her a little more, maybe if they had cared about what her future was going to end up being, maybe she wouldn't have gone so far out of her way to try to get her parents' attention. They left her alone a lot. So when it came as a shock that she'd gone off and gotten pregnant, I was just sitting there like, how? You only give her attention when she does something outrageous. And here she is, being wild because no one is watching. And it's the only way she'll get anyone to glance in her direction. The moment that I realized that Lorelai actually had a complex when it comes to being independent was the episode where Sherry is in labor and we get to see how Lorelai gave birth to Rory. This episode, Dear Emily and Richard, is probably named in reference to the letter that Lorelai leaves for them at the end of the episode when she abandons the family home with an infant Rory. She had just given birth. I'm pretty sure she was like a year old and she left. But in the episode, we find out more about what happened when Lorelai got pregnant and what she decided to do ultimately as a result. I just find it very interesting because it's just juxtaposed. It is juxtaposed with the birth of Gigi. So it's very interesting. We get to see Chris in both of those situations. We see how reluctant he was that his life was changing when Rory was born.
She's pretty.
She's perfect.
So I guess we should get married.
But then you see how prepared he is and how happy he is to receive his next daughter because he's more ready. And just the look of disappointment in Lorelai's face the entire time, it kind of shows that she doesn't realize what her hyper independence can do to certain relationships in her life as a result of her pushing them away. I chose this episode to highlight how hard Lorelai struggled with the feeling of having no support from any side, but that's just how she views it, because she just sees her parents as enemies at all times, even when they're trying to help her. And she sees that Chris isn't ready to be a father, and she just makes the decision for him. She leaves. If you look at it from the outside, not knowing all of the background, you would think that it's very admirable that she would do this. But in this process, she alienates everyone who loves her. We do see that Emily and Richard are extremely hands-off when it comes to Lorelai, leaving a lot of the heavy lifting to the service staff. They have maids, they have very expensive material objects, and they have so much money. All because Richard spends his days working in his office and Emily has her DAR meetings. But where does that leave Lorelai? Well, it leaves her getting drunk on the couch after school one day and getting pregnant with Rory. So like I said, I do partly blame her parents for not being around her as much, but the girl is just crying out for attention at every turn. It's just very sad that no one actually hears her until she got pregnant. It's very sad when you think about it. Hi, I'm back in the middle of recording with a different outfit and different hair. Sorry if this is jarring. I've had to record this in several different takes. It's been a very busy week over here, so bear with me. Okay, so the episode that I ended up choosing when it comes to her relationship with her parents is the one that I just mentioned. It's titled Dear Emily and Richard. And it's just, it's a really sad episode, I think. It really highlights how hard Lorelai struggled with the feeling of having no support from any side, because she chooses to see her parents as enemies, and she just doesn't allow anyone to give her any type of support. She just goes through this time in her life where she just says, I think that I can do this, so I will make it a reality no matter how hard it's gonna be. And in this episode, we also see how different Lorelai's parents are versus Chris's parents, because, whoa, let's just get into the clip so you guys can see.
You're sick.
Everything's gone. It's been tossed right out the window. Stop crying.
Here, Francine, drink your water. We all need to calm down. Getting upset isn't going to get us anywhere.
What do we tell people?
Well, who needs to know?
What do you mean, who needs to know?
You don't have to yell at me, Strobe.
Everybody has to know, Emily. Everybody will know. We can't pretend this didn't happen.
We could send her away.
Excuse me?
Aren't there places that take girls like that?
Girls like what, Francine?
Well, girls in... I can't handle this. I can't handle this at all.
Stop crying, damn it.
Christopher's just as much to blame as Lorelei is.
Like hell he is.
They are in this together.
I don't see why. Why should Christopher sacrifice everything we planned for him just because...
Choose your words extremely carefully, Strobe.
Emily, you know we love Lorelei. You know that. But Chris is so young. He's a baby.
Well, Lorelei's not exactly collecting Social Security.
Why doesn't she get rid of it?
What?
Strobe.
It's an option.
It certainly is not an option.
Why not?
Because I say so.
Then what the hell are you suggesting, Emily? What's your great solution to this problem?
They will get married. They will live here. And Christopher will go to work at my company. That is the solution. Now we have a plan, so we can all stop talking about it. Please excuse me, I have work to do.
I think Richard's plan sounds very sensible.
I have just one question. Why his company?
What do you mean, his company?
Well, I have a law firm. Christopher could go...
Chris's father is a fucking terrible person. He basically asks Emily, so what do you think? Why should we allow this to happen? And Emily does not hesitate. She's immediately in defense of her daughter. She may not agree. This is something that Lorelei and her mom Emily have in common. They have that integrity where even if they don't agree with what their daughter has done, they're gonna stand by her because, hello, that is my flesh and blood. But Christopher's dad spends the entire time just yelling at his wife. I laugh because it makes me uncomfortable, okay? It's so awkward to watch a grown-ass man scold his wife in front of people when they're visitors at this house, and they just don't see the gravity of the situation. Clearly, there is a pregnant child here, and we have Chris, who has made her pregnant, and it's just a lot.
You're not even listening to each other.
Oh, for God's sake, Francine, shut up!
The scene is just uncomfortable all around, and it's just funny because these are two very well-off, affluent families, but they're just so different. The way that Chris's dad speaks to his mom is wild. You would never in your life see Richard talk to Emily like that. Even when they were in the middle of a divorce, he wasn't rude to Emily at all like that. But anyway, I digress. What I really like about this scene is that Emily and Richard they shine here. They defend their daughter, but they also understand how serious the situation is. They want to find a solution, but Strobe and Francine are more worried about what other people are going to think of their situation and the future of their son, who has now, his future is now over. It's now over now that Lorelei has gone and gotten herself pregnant, right? I think they forget that this was a thing that was done together. But yeah, at some point, Strobe mentions abortion, and Emily is just appalled by this. She's like, no, who the fuck do you think you are coming into my house suggesting some bullshit like that? And he claims, well, this is gonna ruin my son's life, which is wild because you see them meet Rory for the first time in the first season, and he's the same man. He is exactly the same.
This whole evening is ridiculous. We're supposed to sit here like one big happy family and pretend that the damage that was done is over, gone? I don't care about how good a student you say that girl is.
Hey.
Our son was bound for Princeton. Every Hayden male attended Princeton, including myself, but it all stopped with Christopher. It's a humiliation we've had to live with every day, all because you seduced him into ruining his life. She had that baby, and she ended his future.
You recant that, Strobe.
Spilling my drink.
You owe my daughter an apology.
An apology? That is rich.
How dare you? How dare you?
But what I really like is that Richard is quick to suggest a solution that would fix everything. You know, they'd get married, they'd raise the kid at the Gilmore house, and Christopher would work for his insurance company. And later on, we see that obviously this isn't what Lorelai wanted at all, but it's just very interesting because Lorelai and Chris heard that entire conversation about their futures, and you can tell that Lorelai is just horrified at the thought of other people controlling her life. And of course, it gets even worse as she sees that Christopher is not all in with her like she would have hoped. And instead of allowing him the grace to figure out the situation, she just fucking leaves. And this is a very common pattern with Lorelai. She has this habit of, it's my way or the highway, or, you know, we have to do it now, or we're not doing it at all. And this is a common theme in her romantic relationships, and we're gonna touch on that in just a second, because boy oh boy, not only does this happen with Max, it kind of happens with Jason, even though I feel like Jason, he probably would have had a much easier time dealing with Lorelai's neuroses because he's neurotic his damn self. But she does it again later with Luke when they're having all these troubles with Luke bringing his new daughter April into their lives, and he doesn't enjoy having an ultimatum thrown in his face, which I'm sure most people aren't. Like, you can't just tell somebody, hey, I want to do this now or I'm out. At that point, I'm just out. We're just out. Because if you're trying to force something that hard, it's already over. So with Max, I feel like her letting go of her independent life and merging it with someone else's, it was so terrifying for her that she ran for the hills. No warning, didn't tell anybody, just leaves. And this is just something that she does. It's so odd because she falls in love with people. They have great qualities. She really appreciates their support in her life, but then there's always something missing for her. And I'm not sure if that's something that she's just looking for within herself, but she gets so scared that she ends an engagement. Even the way that she's so reluctant to finally tell Max yes. He asks her for her hand in marriage, and she just goes, okay, well, I need some time to think about it, please. And then he gives her the time, and she still can't come to grips with the idea of merging her life with his.
Hello?
Where are we gonna live?
Lorelei?
Where are we gonna live?
Well,
Your house? My house?
I don't know.
I mean, we have to figure this stuff out. I have a life and a kid, and both of them require a house of some sort.
Okay, but...
I have stuff. I have a lot of stuff. You haven't seen my closet yet, but you would not believe the amount of stuff one person can accumulate. I don't even know what this stuff is, but it's there, and it's mine, and it needs a place to live.
Well...
And I want to work.
What?
And I like my bank.
Okay, hold on.
Small, and the teller's name is Margie, and she can't count. And I think there's something so poetic about banking at a place where the teller can't count.
Lorelei.
What?
Calm down. Talk to me.
It's just... If I die, I want you to know where the coupon drawer is.
Well, I would like that too, I think.
Well, we need to figure these things out before...
Before what? Are you saying yes?
What?
Are you saying yes?
Why are you asking me that?
It's so sad because, damn it, Max would have been such a good stepdaddy to Rory. I feel like maybe she wouldn't have turned out to be such a douche, but alas, here we are. Now, I know this is a very unpopular opinion, but I thought that Jason and Lorelai were great together. He has the same sense of humor that she has, and I think that the desire to piss off her parents is definitely what drew her to him initially, but I find their relationship so fun. It just really sucks that it had to end in a lawsuit, but hey, that's what happens when people go into business and then it's not successful. You just, yeah. It does suck though, because I did like them together, but I'm glad that she eventually gets together with Luke, even though the revival kind of ruined the whole thing for me, because the whole point with a TV show is that a character is supposed to evolve. They're supposed to grow, but Lorelai in the revival is still pushing Luke away, and she's still trying to be this independent person who goes fucking backpacking and does On the Road or whatever the fuck by fucking Kerouac. The point is, it really pisses me off that you have a revival to begin with and then no one grows. Everybody's exactly the same, except for Emily. Emily's living her best life, but yeah. If y'all would have fucked up Emily, I would have been really pissed, but alas, y'all fucked up everybody else though. Now, at the end of the day, we see that her daughter, Rory, has pretty much picked up all of Lorelai's independent habits. It's just, in her case, it's funny because she's not really independent. She needs a lot of help from a lot of people. She just seems to think that when she needs it the most, that's the time to be hyper independent. And it's like, no, dude, just because your mom was able to leave her parents' house when she was 16 and start a brand new life and not completely burst into flames, the fact that she managed that is amazing, but that doesn't mean that you need to do that in every facet of your life as well. It's just, it's really frustrating. It's really frustrating. But I think that's really all I got. We didn't analyze too deeply. I wanted to keep it a little surface level because I don't want to sit here and talk at you for 45 minutes. You'll probably get sick of me. But thank you for watching, guys. It's great to sit here and talk about my comfort shows. It really is. And I appreciate y'all for watching and subscribing and liking and commenting. It's great having conversations with you about these shows. And I think my next video was an idea that popped into my head because of the comment section from the last video. How I Met Your Mother. Y'all remember that? Dark times. But I'm reminiscing, so you guys are gonna have to reminisce right along with me. Stay tuned.